Hello, I'm Neil Whelan and welcome to the Wesleyan Podcast. In this episode, brought to you by Wesleyan Financial Services, Natasha Davis, one of our B2B Partnership Account Managers, talks to Specialist Financial Advisor Paul Griffiths and John Mayles of Watson Finance about the new Making Tax Digital for Income Tax rules that come into effect in England from April 2026. As well as giving an overview of the changes, they also discuss quarterly reporting, unchanged payment timings, compliance software, separate business banking, and how visibility supports tax and pension planning for self-employed dentists overall. As always, this podcast is for information only and doesn't constitute financial advice. But if you do need to talk to someone about your finances, I'll be back at the end to tell you how to get in touch with us. But for now, I'll hand you over to Paul, John, and first up, Natasha.
We're going to discuss making tax digital in England, what dentists need to know, and how this links with the financial planning throughout the tax year. Hi, John. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're here to obviously discuss this important subject that's very timely at the moment. So first of all, can you just give us a quick overview of what's actually happening in April and what making tax digital means for our dental clients?
Yeah, of course, Natasha, thank you. So Making Tax Digital, just a little bit of background, has been around and been in the background for some time, probably about 10 years. And a lot of people in the profession have been it's been on the back burner, it's been delayed and delayed. When the reality is it's not delayed anymore, it's coming in April this year. The background behind it and the simplest way of describing it is the revenue now want you to be able to be sending them data on a quarterly basis based on what you think your earnings are and what they have been. It's going to be quarterly. We can talk about how it's going to work. We can go into a bit more detail, but that's basically what they're asking us to do. It's something that has to be complied with, and it's not too onerous, but it can be done. But it is going to require engagement from all of the people, specifically in the dentist arena. And this is all of dentists. So it can be dentists that are trading as sole traders. It can be, so that would be associate dentists. It can be hygienists, all of these types of people. So it covers quite a number of people.
Great, thank you. That's really helpful. Will there be any exemptions available for this or any opportunities to actually defer the new requirements?
There are some specific exemptions. So let's just be clear about who has to engage in Making Tax Digital. It has to be a sole trader. And if their combined gross turnover and rental income is over £50,000 per year, they have to engage in this. That does drop down to £30,000 a year in 27 and £20,000 a year in 28. So effectively, it is going to capture the majority of people eventually. Just a point on that, with gross turnover, we are talking about the gross turnover that is received. It's not the net turnover after, for example, deduction of lab costs, superannuation, things like that. So I would urge caution for some of the dentists to think, don't think that the amount of money that gets put into your bank account every month represents your turnover. It's highly likely that your gross turnover will be higher than that. These are the people that are captured by Making Tax Digital. The entities that are not, if you're trading as a limited company, you are not captured yet. If you're trading as a partnership, you are not captured yet. There are some other exemptions, although I would say these exemptions are few and far between. If you do not have a national insurance number, if you're a trustee, if there are some reasonable practical grounds on the basis of your inability to use computers, which could be due to age, disabilities or health, there is an exemption on religious grounds. I think what we will find is that these are going to be few and far between, and as such, I certainly wouldn't be relying on them. The reality is Making Tax Digital is here, and I would thoroughly encourage all the dental practitioners to fully engage on it, accept it, and get on board with the process.
Could you just confirm my understanding that although there's this quarterly submission of information, that there is actually no change to the payments, is there? People are not going to be paying quarterly.
No, that's a really good question, Paul. So effectively what's happening is, under the tax regime at the moment, if you're self-employed, you will pay your tax twice a year. You will pay two payments in advance. You'll pay one on the 31st of January and one on the 31st of July. And then at the end, 31st of January, the following period, you will pay any further tax that's due and make another payment on account. So if your income and your profits don't change, you will be used to paying every 6 months a relatively similar amount of tax. That's not going to change. All of that Making Tax Digital is going to do, it's a requirement to make effectively 4 quarterly reports, and you will make a 5th report, which will be due on the 31st of January following the year of assessment, exactly the same as we do at the moment with your tax return. And that will be the final report. One thing that's really key about this is, don't worry too much about these quarterly reports. They are a guideline. There's lots of scope in there that if there is an error in them, you can adjust the error in the following quarter. As far as we know at the moment, there are not fines if there are errors made in those quarters. It's just the process of the revenue capturing that data.
So I suppose my follow-up question there, John, is I'm a self-employed dentist, just hypothetically, let's say an associate dentist. What are going to be the advantages to me? What's the benefit to me of, instead of just, once a year handing all my information to my accountant or doing my tax return, to arguably getting that information together quarterly?
Okay, so I'm going to put a positive spin on this. The benefit of doing this makes my life easier as an accountant. What that means is that the associates and the dentists will engage on a quarterly basis, and they will be more up to date and have the data ready for you. What it doesn't mean is that there will be, we've just come off the end of 31st of January now, that we won't have dentists sending in their tax return information in the last month and then sometimes getting a nasty surprise as to what tax they need to pay. So the positive spin on this is that because we will have visibility of what the income is likely to be, if there's been any significant changes, either up or down, then it allows us to review the payments on account that are made. If somebody is potentially, for whatever reason, their profits are going to go down in the following year, it could be because of buying capital equipment, it could be for any number of reasons, we can make sure that they're not overpaying their payments on account. Similarly, it allows us to advise clients and for the dentist to be aware of, if they've profits have gone up, that they will have plenty of advance warning to expect that their tax liabilities to go up, and then they can prepare for those.
It's definitely going to help with the forward planning, isn't it?
It is. It's going to force people to do it. And as I said, it will be so much easier with dentists to be able to say to them halfway through the year, your earnings have gone up by 25-30%. So therefore, please expect your tax bill to do that.
Exactly. Perfect. Thank you. That's really helpful. When it comes to, I'm guessing they're going to have to obviously get some new software for this, which is compliant, for MTD. What will associates and self-employed dentists have to look for when it comes to compliant software for the Making Tax Digital?
So if we're getting down into the practicalities here now, my best advice to dentists is to do a number of things. There are some really simple software out there. There's software like Xero, there's software like Sage, there's another piece of software called Free Agent. Xero and Sage both have subscriptions that you have to pay. They're not massively costly, and normally through your accountant they should be able to, they're quite often given quite reasonable discounts as suppliers of the software. With Free Agent, it is a free piece of software. If you bank with one of the banks, I think it's NatWest that is Free Agent that you don't have to pay for. And if that's the case, the first thing you do is choose your piece of software. The second thing you do is speak to your accountant, because then that will help them advise you as to how to run that software. The majority of the software have what's called bank feeds, which means it will automatically pull in data from your bank account. So the other piece that I would be advising everybody to do in Making Tax Digital is to set up a separate bank account purely for your business activities. That way it allows the software to be able to pull the data through, look at it, interrogate it, and at least prepare something for you. That I would say is the best and the most easiest way to prepare data for it to be submitted to the revenue. What we can't do is it won't be a case of just putting some figures on a form and sending that in. So I would urge people to, first of all, if you haven't done it, is open up a separate bank account to run your business banking on. And the second thing from that is then choose a piece of software.
That's a really good point and really good advice for our listeners. So with the Making Tax Digital year-end tax planning opportunities that we've discussed, I'm guessing when it comes to pension contributions, this will be quite a helpful task in order to actually look at that and that forward planning.
Absolutely, primarily because the key word that we mentioned before is it's visibility. If you know, it means all of the dentists will be able to see well in advance what their income is like, looking at what tax thresholds they're at. You know, if they're going to breach into the higher rate tax threshold, then it allows them to consider pension contributions. More importantly, if they're looking at going up above the 100,000 into the extra tax rates, then they can plan ahead with pension contributions there. It just gives, in a way, it's such a good thing because it forces people to have that visibility to be able to plan for the most tax efficient methods.
Absolutely. There's definitely going to be some benefits into this. And obviously, in terms of looking at their finances, it's a really good strategy for that forward planning. Paul, have you got anything to add on that in terms of obviously our clients and what the advantages they'll actually get from Making Tax Digital and looking at their finances more forward planning?
Yeah, I think John's really hit the nail on the head. They're going to have greater visibility. They're going to feel in a position earlier on to be making decisions. And we're going to be avoiding this last minute rush towards the end of the tax year with regards what should clients be doing, what should they be looking at. And one of the problems that we currently have, of course, is the tax year ends on the 5th of April. And it's only after that date do most dentists start giving their accountants information to get a real feel as to how the year's gone for them. And they're going to have that insight much sooner, which has got to be a benefit to everybody and the planning opportunities that are on the back of that.
Definitely. Well, thanks so much for your time today, John and Paul. That's been a really good discussion, and hopefully our listeners have definitely benefited from listening to that and got some really good insights and towards what they'll need to do when it comes to April.
And that's our show for this week. Thank you to Natasha, Paul and John. If you are looking for expert financial advice, go to wesleyan.co.uk, where you can book an appointment with one of our specialist financial advisors. Charges may apply, but we won't charge you until you've agreed the services you require and the associated costs. Find out more at wesleyan.co.uk/charges. To learn about Wesleyan more generally, you can find us on the website formerly known as Twitter, as well as on Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn. And if you found this podcast useful, you can like and subscribe to us on all the usual platforms, as well as find us on YouTube, where there's a whole library of videos covering a wide range of financial planning topics. But that's it for now. So until next time, thanks for listening.